legs on the inside at all times.
If you want to avoid getting ripped off and put more money in your pocket, then join me, Clark Howard, every weeknight at 6, right here on WOCA, The Source.
We are The Source, WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. One of the things you learn when you are a radio announcer is how to push buttons. I got so many buttons in front of me, Robin.
I know.
But the real buttons you have to learn how to push are the topic buttons, the hot buttons, the buttons that we push in people's opinions. And if I say the word Monsanto, does it push a button?
Oh, yeah.
Remember you used to go to Epcot and you walked into one of those pavilions, right? And they showed you this beautiful film of Monsanto and all the great work that they do. And I'm not saying they don't. I'm not trying to push any buttons. I'm just telling you that used to be the way it was. I don't know if that's still down there in Epcot or not. And then we had this story about, was it Indian farmers who were so poor that they used to depend on their crops producing seeds that could be then replanted.
That's right.
So that they could make money without having to spend more money on seeds. And then there was some kind of a patent on a seed that was genetically modified, and it was causing all kinds of problems for the poor farmers who could grow their crops one time and then would be forced to buy seeds every year, and it was just really, really cutting into their livelihood and their ability to make a living for themselves. And in the course of time, as radio hosts and especially talk show hosts, we've had guests who have been on the air talking about genetically modified organisms and hating it and demonizing it and making it like the worst thing that could ever have happened. And we've heard stories of how it's not just plants, it's animals, it's everything, right? And then we've had people say, no, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it's fine. It's just science. It's progress. And they would say, was it the tangelo? The tangelo is a genetically modified organism. And okay, so when you graft a tree limb to another tree limb and you create a sweeter tasting orange, that's genetically modified. And I guess it all makes sense. But guess what? I don't know what the real answer is. But there was one issue that made sense to me. It was labeling. Labeling made sense. If you are somebody who does never ever want to eat anything that was genetically modified, you should be able to look at the label and say, okay, that's genetically modified. I don't want to eat it.
Exactly.
Or if you have no problem with genetically modified, you should be able to say, well, it's on the label, but I don't care. I'm fine with that. The label became controversial. The label. Ellen Moyer is on the phone. I have her picture, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Let me put that on the live streaming. There it is. Okay. If you're looking at the live streaming video, you see a photo of Ellen Moyer. She is on the phone. We invited her yesterday. She is an independent environmental consultant, a registered professional engineer with 30 years of experience preventing and cleaning up environmental problems. She's a journalist, a regular contributor to the Huffington Post, and she's written a book called Our Earth, Our Species, Ourselves, How to Have Fun Creating a Sustainable World. I love that. She's talking to us, however, we'll ask about the book, but she's talking about the DARK Act, and I think DARK stands for Democratic, what is it called again? No, maybe. Oh, Denying Americans the Right to Know.
That's right.
DARK, Denying Americans the Right to Know. It was signed by President Obama in the afterglow of the Democratic National Convention. Without fanfare, the new law nullifies laws in a few states that required labeling of genetically engineered foods. Wow. All right, let's find now. This is a button pusher, talking about button pushers. Ellen Moyer, I'm sorry for the long intro, but I wanted the listeners to kind of get on board with what we were talking about. Good morning, Ellen.
Hi, good morning, and that was a great intro. It really sets the stage for our conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad you think so.
Now, if you lived in China, you would be able to know if your food was genetically modified.
Really?
Go figure. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So
yeah,
where are you?
Countries. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, where are you? I'm just curious where you're calling from.
I'm in western Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
The rural part of the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is the reason why the president? I mean, it doesn't seem to even be a partisan issue. It should be, okay, labeling. I mean, everybody wants to have choice and information. Why are we denied this piece of information?
Yeah, and one of his campaign promises was to label GMOs. So this is an about-face on his part. Very disappointing, and it's not like he isn't aware of the issues. He's well aware of the issues. I think what it shows is just the immense power of industry over our government. It's very scary.
You know, one of the things that we hear from people who consider themselves on the left is that the corporations are manipulating our elected officials, and I'm sure that's true. I'm absolutely sure that's true. So I don't disagree with that. But you would think somebody like Obama would have seen right through that. Do you think he was manipulated by the corporations?
I don't know. It's a mystery. It really is. I don't know why he did that. He's an outgoing president, so it's not like they should have a lot of leverage over him. So it really is a mystery. And this thing was, the Dark Act was created behind closed doors. There was no public testimony. There was no expert testimony. So nobody really knows how this all came about. So your guess is as good as mine on that. I don't know if anybody besides him knows. In the
introduction, I mentioned the farmers in India and the seeds that cannot. What are they called? What are they called? I mean, well, there's a word for that, right?
Well, they're patented seeds, and India is a really extreme case. Every 30 minutes, an Indian farmer commits suicide because he's so in debt. Yeah, well over 100,000 Indian farmers have committed suicide, usually by drinking the pesticide. It is just so tragic. They get into this debt that they can't get out of. They have to keep buying the seeds. They have to keep buying the pesticides. And they don't really work after a time because pests become resistant. And they also have to use a lot of water, so they have to keep pumping from greater and greater depths. So their costs go up, their problems go up, and their debt increases, and they don't see a way out. A lot of Indian farmers have actually gone back to their traditional methods of farming, which were perfectly fine.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask is there anything, I guess, legislatively that stops people from... I was reading in the notes that kind of introduced me to you in the first place that the Dark Act also nullified the genetic engineering seed labeling laws in Vermont and Virginia. So it's not... I mean, it's here in this country.
Exactly.
Oh, completely, yeah. The whole point of the Dark Act wasn't to create a labeling law. The point of the Dark Act was to get rid of all the state laws that were cropping up. So there were 3 laws requiring labeling. Those were Vermont, Connecticut, and Maine, and Vermont was already in force starting this July. And then the 2 seed labeling laws that you mentioned, Vermont and Virginia. And then Alaska had passed a law requiring labeling of any genetically engineered fish. So the Dark Act, that was very threatening to the food industry, so they wanted those gone. So the way to do that was to create this sham labeling law, the Dark Act, which really does not require much in the way of labeling. In fact, most foods would be exempt from labeling, and they can do these nefarious methods of labeling. So instead of just printing the words on the label, they don't have to do that. They can use one of those QR codes that you scan. And so for the person to find out if there are GMOs in a food product, they have to have a smartphone and internet access as they shop and go around and scan these labels with these QR codes. Now that's a huge problem because it cuts out about 100 million Americans who don't have smartphones.
Right.
And it's mostly low income and rural and elderly populations. So Reverend Jesse Jackson, seeing this, he wrote to President Obama, and he said, you know, this bill raises serious questions of discrimination and questions of equal protection under the law. But still, Obama signed it. I just don't understand it.
Oh my gosh! Well, does Obama have a vested interest in some of the companies where he makes money, and that
I
this
don't
would?
know. I can't. I just hope he's not that kind of guy who would do that. There must be some bigger power thing going on that we don't know about. But, you know, 64 countries require GMO labeling, and those countries have 40% of the world's population. So it's becoming a mainstream thing. And what it shows that we can't get that in the United States is just the vast power of the food industry.
Wow, it just seems so crazy. I mean, we're all about information. We're all about freedom of choice. And yet this was not passed. So we are forcing our fast food places, and I'm happy with this, to show us how many calories are in a Big Mac. Okay,
right.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm sure McDonald's didn't like that idea, but the consumers benefit from that because you realize, oh my gosh, I was going to have two. I'll just have one now.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And polls show that 90% of Americans want GMO labeling. So if the vast majority of us want it, why aren't we getting it? I mean, it really highlights some big systemic problems that we have. And one of those is the revolving door. Industry representatives take top positions in government agencies, such as the Food and Drug Administration or the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So they go in there and they make regulations to their liking, and then they go back out to industry and have a big party, or they help the industry get around regulations that they couldn't change. Now, other countries don't do it that way, and in Europe, my understanding is they don't have revolving doors like this. So they have actual people who actually work for the citizens in those government agencies. Those government agencies are supposed to protect citizens from industry, but instead the agencies now protect industry from citizens.
It's really disheartening. You know, more and more, I always like the idea of a watchdog. You know, somebody who's nobody's going to like because he or she is going to bark at something that we need to pay attention to. And it used to be that we could depend on somebody in office to do that. But more and more, it's private citizens like yourself that are becoming the watchdogs, and our elected officials. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if they're becoming corrupted or if there's money involved. It doesn't seem like there's that much difference between the parties anymore.
Yeah, it's the problem of money in politics, and the Citizens United Supreme Court ruling that allowed anybody to give unlimited contributions to politicians secretly.
You're probably right.
We need to fix that and stop saying corporations are persons. So we really have a cleanup job here, and it kind of explains why someone like Donald Trump appeals to people. They're that fed up
exactly
with the corrupt system, and it's a scary thing. It has similarities to past history.
Yeah, Ellen, let me I'll take a phone call, and then we'll have to take a break. Good morning. You're on the air with Ellen Moyer. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. Good morning. Just to set something straight, the Citizens United was about the super PACs, which were not allowed to give money directly to the candidate. They could place ads without consulting a candidate on any subject whatsoever. Now, the other odd thing that came up in my mind was that an odd thing popped out some years after Walter Mondale retired, that he was in bed with Archer Daniels Midland. So, you know, people you think are friends are not always friends.
Yeah, right. All right, thank you.
Have a good morning, all.
Appreciate that. Ellen Moyer is our guest, and we called her just yesterday, and she agreed to come on today. And I wanted to do this as we're in the middle of a political season, and I don't know how much of this is going to change anybody's mind about who they vote for, but I think we need watchdogs who are in elected positions, and not just people like Ellen who are in the private sector, who have, really done a great job trying to draw our attention to subjects that we need to pay attention to. Ellen's book is called Our Earth, Our Species, Ourselves: How to Have Fun Creating a Sustainable World. I love that. I can't wait to read the book. Ellen, just give me a moment here. We've got to do the weather. We've got 3 commercials, so it's going to be about a 2-minute break, and we will be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Thursday will be partly sunny with a thunderstorm around, only in the morning at the coast, in the afternoon elsewhere, the high 88 to 92. And partly cloudy Thursday night with a late night shower along the coast, low 72 inland, 78 at the coast. For Friday, times of clouds and sunshine with a shower or thunderstorm around, mainly in the afternoon over the interior, the high Friday 88 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Central Florida Eye Institute is the area's leader in laser vision correction. From high-definition refraction surgery and LASIK vision correction to custom cataract, glaucoma, and diabetic treatment, you can count on Dr. Crowley and his effective, friendly staff to provide you with the quality care you deserve. Call 352-237-8400 for an appointment or more information. That number again is 352-237-8400. Looking forward to service your vision needs.
My name is David Moore, and I'm running for County Commission District 1 here in Marion County, Florida. The reason I'm running is I believe that government is of the people, by the people, and for the people, not of the special interests, by the special interests, and for their own self-serving interest. My faith lays the foundational principles for my decision-making process. I believe that public safety matters. The reason we have government is to protect the public, and we need to take care of those who take care of us. This is David Moore. I would appreciate your vote on August 30th. Paid political advertisement paid for and approved by David Moore, Republican for County Commission District 1.
You've got a garden, and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Yeah, I'm that drip coming down from the corner of the room. But where did I come from? I'll never tell.
Bone Dry Roofing can and will fix it right the first time using quality materials, and will deal honestly and fairly with you, period. You can find Bone Dry Roofing on their website, bonedryroofingllc.com, and Facebook at Bone Dry Roofing LLC. Do it right before your roof needs a tarp to keep the elements out. Bone Dry Roofing stands behind their work to help make your home safe and secure, plus they have financing available. Remember, if you're not bone dry, then you're all wet.
Hi, I'm Big Daddy Don Garlitz, asking you to support adoption by purchasing a Choose Life license plate from your county tag office. You know it costs a lot to give a child life. Many times a woman is forced to make a bad choice because of financial pressures. Help save the lives of the unborn children by aiding women whom choose life instead of abortion. Take a stand for life. Purchase your Choose Life license plate today. For more information, go to chooselife.org or call 352-624-2854.
1370 WOCA.
All right, 7 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We are talking about the labeling of foods that contain partial or complete 100% genetically modified organisms, or they don't. And the labeling is what we're really focusing on. I did hear our guest Ellen Moyer ask you, Robin, off the air, if our listeners knew what it was, what GMOs were. We've talked about this so much that we presume that they do. But Ellen, I'm going to ask you if you could give us a little GMO 101 for those who are not familiar with that.
Yeah, it's hard, or it's easy to lose sight of the difference between GMOs and just regular selective breeding. GMOs combine the genes of 2 different species. This would not happen in nature or in selective breeding. So it's like putting a fish gene in a tomato, something like that.
Have they done that? Has that actually been done? Really?
I think so. And the main reason for creating GMOs is so they can withstand heavy dosings of pesticides, including the herbicide Roundup, which is widely used in this country and throughout the world. And it's now, according to the World Health Organization, a probable human carcinogen. So the idea is to have these genetically engineered crops, and then you spray the heck out of everything, and these crops are the only things left standing. So my main concern is that the GMO crops have more pesticide residue possibly than other crops.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't...
Yeah, to me, that's the biggest risk.
Well, I'm glad we talked about the actual definition, because, I mean, I thought I knew it, but that little nugget that you told us is something I didn't think about. Do you know...
And then if I could just complete that thought, I mean, not that you didn't let me complete it, but I wanted to mention also that some GMO crops make their own pesticides. So I'm worried about the health effects of pesticides. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody texted me and said, or Facebooked me, whatever you call that thing, and said what the term I was looking for was heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds are the seeds you want because they are not genetically modified. They can reproduce new seeds. Am I right about? Or
yeah, and I think there are other seeds also. Anything non-GMO are not don't have that restriction on them. But you know, according to this organization, Center for Food Safety, that I really like, it's headed by a lawyer named Andrew Kimbrell, and he's just very good. He says that just 5 companies account for 62% of the world's seed sales.
Oh, wow.
So it's very frightening the way our seed inventory is being monopolized by some huge companies, and a lot of varieties are being lost. We're losing a lot of local varieties, and so our seed supply is not only captured by these companies, but it's less resilient to things like climate change. So the implications of this are just Orwellian, in my opinion.
Okay, would somebody be violating the law, the law that the Dark Act creates, by having a secret code that they make public? Like, here, if you see the happy face on this product, that means there's no GMOs in it. But it never does say no GMOs. I mean,
right.
I mean, could somebody have a backdoor approach to labeling?
I don't know. I don't know the specific details.
And the other thought I had was, could somebody have a black market for good seeds? Like could somebody say, all right, we're not allowed to sell these anymore, but I've got some.
Exactly.
I've got some.
Oh, the penalties. I mean, Monsanto and the other companies will go after you.
Really?
If they catch you selling seeds.
That is crazy. That doesn't even seem fair.
No, it's un-American.
Yeah, it really is.
It's inhuman. It's anti-God. I mean, if you believe in God, God created the seeds.
Yeah.
What the heck? What are they thinking?
Now, I want to make sure to get in this following thought. People can avoid GMOs by choosing organic, because organic foods are not allowed to contain GMOs. So that's what I do. I just say, I'm not playing this game. If you guys aren't going to label your stuff, I'm out of here. I'm only going to eat organic food. Now, that does not take care of people who are at lower incomes, who probably can't afford to have organic food or have access to organic food, depending on where they live. So it's not a solution because it only takes care of people who are pretty affluent. So it's another case of environmental injustice, in my opinion.
Ellen, you have given us a great interview. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. Robin pointed out that your book doesn't come out till the end of the year, and I would like you, with 1 minute to go, to give us contact information, website information, etc.
Okay, great. Yes, my website is ellenmoyerphd.com, and let me spell that, ELLENMOYERPHD.com, and you can sign up for updates there, or check out my Huffington Post blogs, or check out my book. And yeah, the book will be out by the end of the year. It's non-technical, and it's an inspiring book that tells people that we really can create a sustainable world. We don't have to put up with situations like what we're talking about today.
You're a hero.
And that it's fun.
Thank you, Ellen. Please come back when the book is published. We'd love to talk to you again.
Oh, thank you so much, Larry. I definitely will.
We will be right back.
Much.
Casting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. In the race for the White House, Donald Trump leveling accusations against his Democratic rival.
Hillary Clinton is